Our story begins at Gracefield House, a beautiful orphanage surrounded by endless green fields and dense forests. On the surface, it looks like the perfect home for children. Everyone lives happily together, and every child treats the others like real brothers and sisters. Taking care of them is a kind woman named Isabella, whom every child lovingly calls Mom. She teaches them, feeds them, and genuinely appears to care about their future. Every single day, the children are also required to take IQ tests. According to Isabella, these tests help prepare them for the day a loving family comes to adopt them, so they can succeed in the outside world. Everything seems perfect. But there are two strange rules in this orphanage. First, every child has a mysterious identification number tattooed on the side of their neck. That number is their only official identity. Second, no child is ever allowed to cross the wooden fence surrounding the property. There's also a massive gate at the front of the orphanage, but going anywhere near it is strictly forbidden. Whenever the children ask why, Isabella simply tells them that the outside world is extremely dangerous, and for their own safety, they must never leave the orphanage. Among all the children, three stand out as the oldest and smartest: Emma, Norman, and Ray. One afternoon, everyone gathers outside to play a game of tag. But this isn't just an ordinary children's game. It's designed to sharpen their intelligence, improve their reflexes, and train both their minds and bodies. Norman, with his incredible analytical skills, quickly figures out where every child is hiding. He even manages to outsmart Emma, the fastest runner in the orphanage, proving why he's considered the smartest among them. Later that day, exciting news spreads throughout Gracefield House. A 6-year-old girl named Connie has finally been adopted. Connie is one of the youngest children in the orphanage. She's cheerful, innocent, and never goes anywhere without her favorite stuffed rabbit, which she treasures like her best friend. Everyone gathers to say goodbye. The children are emotional, but they're also happy for her. Before leaving, Connie promises that she'll write letters to everyone once she reaches her new family. But something doesn't sit right with Norman and Ray. They quietly realize that dozens of children have been adopted before, yet not a single one has ever sent a letter back. Still, nobody questions it. Holding Isabella's hand, Connie walks toward the forbidden front gate, disappearing into the darkness beyond. A little later, while Emma and Norman are cleaning the main hall, Emma suddenly notices something lying on a table: Connie's beloved stuffed rabbit. Emma immediately panics. Connie would never leave without it. Just then, Ray walks in and casually mentions something unusual. The lights at the main gate are still on, which means Connie probably hasn't left yet. If you hurry, you might still be able to give it back to her. Emma and Norman know approaching the gate is strictly against the rules, but they can't let Connie leave without her favorite toy. So the two of them grab the stuffed rabbit and sprint toward the forbidden gate. When they finally arrive, they notice a large truck parked nearby. Thinking Connie must be inside, they quietly move closer and peek through the back. The moment they look inside, their entire world shatters. Connie is lying there, dead. Her lifeless body rests inside the truck with a strange red flower placed on her chest. Emma freezes in horror. The stuffed rabbit slips from her trembling hands and falls to the ground. Then, footsteps. Someone is coming. Without wasting a second, Norman grabs Emma's hand and pulls her underneath the truck. Holding their breath, they watch as two enormous, terrifying demons emerge from the darkness. The monsters casually lift Connie's body and place it inside a large capsule filled with liquid. Then they begin talking. One of them proudly says that the humans raised at this farm are of exceptionally high quality, and that these children exist for only one purpose: to become food. At that moment, Emma and Norman realize the horrifying truth. Gracefield House isn't an orphanage at all. It's a human farm, and every child here is being carefully raised as livestock for demons. Hidden beneath the truck, Emma and Norman watch in complete silence as their nightmare unfolds before their eyes. The demons continue discussing the children as if they're nothing more than premium livestock. One of them even explains that the smarter the child, the better the quality of the meat. Just then, someone else arrives. It's Isabella, but instead of reacting with fear, she greets the demons as if they're old business partners. Calmly, she apologizes for today's shipment and promises that the next group of children will be even more intelligent. Emma feels her heart shatter. The woman she trusted more than anyone, the woman she called Mom, has been working with the demons this entire time. Suddenly, one of the demons stops moving. It sniffs the air. I can smell a child. The monster slowly walks toward the truck. Emma can barely breathe. Norman tightens his grip on her hand, silently praying they won't be discovered. The demon bends down, but instead of finding them, it notices the stuffed rabbit lying on the ground. Picking it up, the demon casually hands it to Isabella. The moment Isabella sees Connie's toy, her expression changes. Someone has been here. Someone has seen everything. Before she can investigate further, Norman quietly signals Emma. Now, the two of them silently crawl out from beneath the truck and disappear into the forest before anyone notices. Only after reaching a safe distance do they finally stop running. Emma completely breaks down. Tears stream down her face as she struggles to accept what she has just witnessed. Gracefield House, their home, is nothing more than a farm where children are raised to be eaten. Norman remains surprisingly calm. We can't stay here anymore. We have to escape. Emma wipes away her tears and nods. But then she says something that surprises even Norman. "We're not leaving alone. We're taking everyone with us." Norman smiles. He already knew she'd say that. The next morning, both of them pretend everything is completely normal. They laugh with the other children, take their IQ tests, eat breakfast, and act exactly the way Isabella expects them to. If she realizes they know the truth, everything will be over. Later, they secretly sneak toward the wooden fence surrounding the orphanage. For the first time in their lives, they climb over it. Beyond the forest, they continue walking until they suddenly stop. Standing before them is an enormous concrete wall stretching endlessly in both directions. It's far too high to climb. Norman immediately realizes something. If we're going to escape, we'll need ropes. The two memorize the area before quietly returning to the orphanage. Meanwhile, back at Gracefield House, one of the younger girls suddenly disappears while playing outside. The other children panic, but Isabella doesn't. Instead, she calmly pulls out a strange device that looks like a pocket watch. She checks the screen, then walks directly into the forest. Less than a minute later, she returns with the missing girl. Safe. Emma and Norman exchange worried glances. There's only one possible explanation. Every child has been implanted with a hidden tracking device. No matter where they go, Isabella always knows their exact location. Escaping just became far more difficult. The following day, Emma and Norman secretly hide several ropes inside a hollow tree deep in the forest. Just as they're about to leave, someone appears behind them. It's Ray. He looks at the ropes, then looks at them. "So, what exactly are you two hiding?" Instead of lying, Emma and Norman decide to tell him everything. From Connie's death, to the demons, to the horrifying truth about Gracefield House. Ray listens quietly without interrupting. Unlike Emma, he doesn't panic. Unlike Norman, he doesn't look surprised either. After a long silence, he simply says, "I believe you, and I'm joining you." Now the three smartest children in the orphanage are finally working together. Knowing they'll need answers before making their escape, they head to the orphanage library. There, Ray shows them several old books marked with a mysterious owl symbol. Hidden inside each book is a strange coded message. After carefully decoding it, they uncover the name of someone they've never heard before, William Minerva. According to the hidden message, William Minerva knows the truth behind Gracefield House, and he left these secret codes behind for one reason: to help children escape. For the first time since discovering the truth, Emma finally feels something she thought she'd lost forever: hope. Just when Emma, Norman, and Ray finally begin to feel hopeful, everything changes. That evening, Isabella gathers all the children in the main hall with a warm smile on her face. She introduces someone new, a woman named Sister Crone. According to Isabella, Crone has arrived to help take care of the children. But the moment Emma, Norman, and Ray see her, something feels wrong. Crone's strange smile, intimidating presence, and unpredictable behavior immediately make everyone uneasy. Now there are two adults watching over the orphanage instead of one. Escaping just became even more dangerous. The next day, the three friends come up with a clever plan. They organize another game of tag for all the children. To everyone else, it looks like an ordinary game. But in reality, Emma, Norman, and Ray are secretly training the younger kids. They're teaching them how to stay hidden, how to move quietly, and most importantly, how to survive if they ever have to run for their lives. Every game is actually preparing them for the escape. Later that night, the three secretly meet to discuss their progress. That's when Norman notices something disturbing. No matter what we plan, Isabella somehow finds out. He pauses for a moment before saying the one thing none of them wanted to hear. "We have a spy. Someone inside the orphanage is secretly reporting everything to Isabella." The question is, who? To expose the traitor, Norman creates a brilliant trap. He decides to involve two older children, Dawn and Gilda. Emma tells them the horrifying truth about Gracefield House, the demons, and Connie's death. Dawn refuses to believe a single word. It sounds too insane to be real, but Emma breaks down in tears. Connie wasn't adopted. She's dead. Seeing Emma cry like this convinces Gilda that she's telling the truth. Eventually, Dawn believes them too. Now comes Norman's test. He secretly gives Dawn one fake hiding place for the escape ropes. Then he tells Gilda a completely different fake location. If Isabella discovers either hiding place, they'll know exactly who betrayed them. That same night, someone quietly slips a folded note underneath Isabella's bedroom door. The note reveals the exact location of the hidden ropes. It also warns her about Norman. Norman is extremely intelligent and very dangerous. The next morning, Emma, Norman, and Ray rush to check the hiding spot. The ropes are gone. Ray immediately loses his temper. "I told you we couldn't trust them. Either Dawn or Gilda is the spy." But Norman simply smiles. He doesn't look surprised at all. "No, neither of them betrayed us." Ray looks confused. Then Norman slowly turns toward him. "The real spy is you." Silence fills the room. Ray lowers his head. After a long pause, he admits everything. Yes, he has been working with Isabella all along, but not because he wanted to betray his friends. Years ago, Ray made a deal with Isabella. In exchange for becoming her informant, She agreed to delay his shipment. It was the only way he could stay alive. I never intended to help her forever, Ray says quietly. I knew I couldn't escape by myself. I needed both of you. That's why I deliberately left Connie's stuffed rabbit behind. I wanted Emma and Norman to discover the truth. So you'd create an escape plan? That I could join. Emma and Norman are shocked. Everything makes sense now. Ray manipulated them from the very beginning. But despite everything, Emma doesn't hate him. Instead, she smiles. You made terrible choices, but you're still our friend. Norman nods in agreement. Instead of abandoning Ray, they turn him into a double agent. From now on, Ray will continue pretending to work for Isabella, while secretly feeding information back to Emma and Norman. Their greatest enemy has just become their greatest advantage. Later, Ray takes them to his room. Lifting up a loose floorboard, he reveals a hidden compartment packed with supplies. Inside are fuel cans, tools, and a strange homemade device. Ray proudly explains that he built it himself. The machine can block the signal from the tracking devices hidden inside the children's bodies. If it works, Isabella will no longer be able to track them. For the first time, escaping doesn't seem impossible anymore. But none of them realize Isabella has plans of her own, and she's already preparing her next move. The next day, Ray walks into Isabella's office as if nothing has changed. Pretending to remain loyal, he quietly tells her, Emma and Norman are becoming more dangerous. I think they're planning to poison your food. It sounds convincing. But Isabella isn't fooled. Instead, she looks directly into Ray's eyes and calmly says, You've done an excellent job spying for me. But according to the schedule, your shipment is only a few months away. The words hit Ray like a truck. Even after years of helping Isabella, his fate was never going to change. He was always destined to become demon food. For the first time, Ray realizes he was never special. He was just another product waiting to be shipped. Meanwhile, Emma and Norman continue preparing for their escape. They return to the massive wall carrying newly made ropes. Today, they're finally going to test whether their plan will work. But just as they reach the wall, a voice suddenly calls out behind them. What are you children doing? It's Sister Crone. She has caught them red-handed. Emma, Norman, and Ray freeze. They believe everything is over. If Crone reports them to Isabella, their escape plan will be destroyed before it even begins. But then, something completely unexpected happens. Crone lowers her voice and says, Relax, I'm not here to stop you. I actually want to help you escape. The children stare at her in disbelief. Why would one of Isabella's assistants betray her? Sensing their doubt, Crone pulls back the collar of her shirt. Behind her neck is a strange mechanical device embedded beneath her skin. She explains that every caretaker has a control chip inside their body. If they betray the system, headquarters can execute them instantly. Crone then reveals the truth about herself. She wasn't hired from outside. She grew up in Gracefield House, just like the children. Years ago, she survived by becoming a caretaker instead of being shipped to the demons. Her dream was to replace Isabella as the new mom, not because she wanted power, but because it was the only way to stay alive. That night, Emma, Norman, Ray, Dawn, and Gilda secretly meet Crone in her room. There, she tells them the terrifying history of their world. Nearly 1,000 years ago, humans and demons fought a devastating war. Millions died on both sides. Eventually, both races signed a peace treaty known as the Promise. Under this agreement, the world was divided into two separate realms. The demons promised never to hunt humans again, but in return, humans agreed to provide them with children as food. That's why Gracefield House exists. It's one of many secret farms created solely to raise intelligent human children for the demons. Crone explains something even more horrifying. Demons must continuously consume human brains, especially intelligent ones. Otherwise, they slowly lose their intelligence and eventually devolve into mindless beasts. That's why Isabella pushes every child to study so hard. Every IQ test, every lesson, every game is simply making the children into higher quality food. Emma feels sick. Everything they believed was a lie. The orphanage wasn't raising children. It was raising perfect meals. The group then asks Crone about the tracking devices. She explains that every child has a tiny transmitter implanted behind one of their ears. That's how Isabella always knows exactly where everyone is. Ray smiles. He quietly pulls out the signal blocking device he built. If this works, those trackers won't matter anymore. For the first time, Crone realizes these children may actually have a chance. The next morning, however, everything falls apart. Isabella walks into Crone's room holding an official letter. With a polite smile, she announces, Congratulations, you've been promoted to another facility. Crone immediately understands what that really means. This isn't a promotion, it's an execution. Isabella has discovered that she was helping the children, and now she's being removed before she can cause any more trouble. Knowing she has almost no time left, Crone decides to leave Emma and the others one final gift, a mysterious fountain pen. She secretly hides it where only they will find it. None of the children know it yet, but that small pen contains the key to their future. As Sister Crone leaves Gracefield House, she knows she'll never return. Before stepping through the front gate, she makes one final attempt to save the children. She tells the mysterious supervisor known only as Grandma that Emma, Norman, and the others are planning to escape. She even warns her that Isabella has been hiding this information, but Grandma doesn't react at all. Instead, she smiles. Isabella is my finest caretaker. She won't let those children escape. Moments later, a massive demon emerges from the darkness. Crone instantly realizes the horrifying truth. There was never any promotion. This was her execution. The demon lunges forward, and Sister Crone disappears forever. Back at the orphanage, Emma and Norman waste no time. They decide it's finally time to discover what's beyond the enormous wall. While the two of them secretly head toward the forest, Ray stays behind to distract Isabella. He starts a casual conversation, hoping to keep her occupied. But Isabella has already stopped trusting him. Without saying a word, she suddenly locks Ray inside an empty room. Ray immediately realizes something is wrong. Emma! Norman! Meanwhile, Emma and Norman arrive at the wall and prepare their ropes. Just as they're about to climb, a familiar voice echoes through the forest. I knew you'd come here eventually. It's Isabella. She's been waiting for them. Emma and Norman freeze. Their entire escape plan has been exposed. Isabella slowly walks toward them. I gave you everything. A warm bed, delicious food, and education. Love, and yet you still chose to betray me. Emma refuses to back down. Without hesitation, she rushes toward Isabella and wraps both arms around her from behind. Norman! Don't stop! Climb the wall! Norman hesitates. He doesn't want to leave Emma behind, but Emma screams again. Go! For a brief moment, it almost works. Then Isabella effortlessly breaks free. Her strength is far beyond what any child expected. Before Emma can react, Isabella violently twists her leg. Crack! Emma collapses to the ground, screaming in pain. Her leg is broken. Norman immediately stops climbing. He looks at Emma, then back at the wall. He could still escape, but he refuses. He will never abandon his best friend. Watching this, Isabella smiles. You made the right choice. Then she delivers devastating news. Headquarters has already made their decision. Tomorrow, Norman will be shipped. Silence fills the forest. Tomorrow, Norman will die. That night, Emma, Norman, Ray, Don, and Gilda secretly gather together. Ray desperately searches for a solution. We can fake an injury. We can hide Norman somewhere inside the orphanage. Anything to delay the shipment. But Norman shakes his head. No. If I disappear, security will become even tighter. And none of you will ever escape. Everyone falls silent. Norman has already accepted his fate. He smiles gently at his friends. If sacrificing my life means all of you can live, then it's worth it. The room falls completely silent. No one can hold back their tears anymore. The following morning, Norman quietly packs his belongings. While searching through his room, he notices something hidden in the corner. It's the mysterious fountain pen Sister Crone left behind. The pen looks ordinary, but Norman immediately senses it's much more than that. He carefully slips it into his pocket. Somehow, he knows it will become important. Later that day, before anyone notices, Norman secretly climbs the massive wall one final time. He needs to know what's waiting on the other side. Reaching the top, he slowly looks down, and what he sees leaves him speechless. There is no road, no town, no freedom, only an enormous canyon stretching endlessly into the distance. The drop is so deep that surviving a fall would be impossible. Norman immediately understands. Jumping across is not an option. Somewhere, there has to be another way out. A bridge, a hidden passage, anything. He carefully memorizes everything before climbing back down. That night, he secretly draws a detailed map of everything he saw. He hides both the map and Crone's mysterious pen beneath Emma's bed. If he doesn't survive, his friends still will.
After Norman left, Emma was completely devastated. She could barely move because of her injured leg, and losing her best friend had shattered her emotionally. Every corner of Grace Field reminded her of him. Soon after, Isabella quietly entered Emma's room. She gently stroked Emma's head and spoke in a calm voice. Emma, you're one of the smartest children in this house. I understand how much pain you're going through. She paused for a moment before continuing. But it's time to accept reality. Then Isabella made an unexpected offer. I want you to begin training to become the next mother of Grace Field. Emma froze. Isabella explained that if Emma accepted the offer, she would never be shipped to the demons. Instead, she would live a safe and comfortable life inside the system. At that moment, Emma finally realized the horrifying truth. Isabella wasn't trying to save her. She wanted Emma to become another mother. Someone who would one day raise innocent children only to send them to their deaths. Emma couldn't accept that fate. Meanwhile, Ray was also drowning in grief. Norman had been his closest friend. Since Norman's departure, Ray barely spoke to anyone. He spent most of his days sitting alone in silence. One evening, Isabella approached him. She smiled and calmly said, Ray, your job as my spy is over. Your shipment is coming very soon. It's time to prepare yourself. Instead of showing fear, Ray smiled. Deep inside, he had already made a decision that would shake Grace Field House forever. Finally, the night of Ray's shipment arrived. Late that night, Ray sat alone inside the dining hall. A few moments later, Emma walked in. Her injured leg had healed enough for her to walk again. She looked at Ray and said, We still have time. We can escape together. I've come up with a new plan. But before she could continue, Ray interrupted her. It's too late, Emma. After Norman left, I gave up. I'm never going to let the demons eat me. I've chosen my own ending. Before Emma could react, Ray struck a match. Then, he threw it onto himself. Within seconds, flames exploded across his body. The entire dining hall was engulfed in fire. Emma screamed in horror. Smoke quickly filled the room. Hearing Emma's cries, Isabella rushed toward the dining hall. The moment she opened the door, she was shocked. The entire room was burning. Emma cried out, "Mom!" Ray set himself on fire. Panicking, Isabella immediately pulled out her tracking device. The screen showed Ray's tracker signal, right in the middle of the flames. Without wasting another second, Isabella grabbed a fire extinguisher and desperately tried to put out the fire. But while all of her attention was focused on the flames, Emma quietly disappeared. A few moments later, Isabella turned around. Emma was gone. Then she noticed something strange on the floor. Drops of blood, and a small piece of human skin. At that exact moment, Isabella realized something was terribly wrong. Ray hadn't actually died. She had been tricked. At this point, the story flashes back to something Norman had secretly planned before leaving Gracefield. Before his shipment, Norman had hidden a map and a secret note beneath Emma's bed. In that note, he revealed something shocking. Norman had already predicted that Ray would eventually try to sacrifice himself. Instead of stopping Ray completely, Norman wanted them to use Ray's plan as the perfect distraction for their escape. After Norman was gone, Emma secretly showed the note to Dawn and Gilda. While everyone believed Emma was resting because of her injured leg, Dawn, Gilda, and the older children had actually been preparing their escape every single day. They gathered supplies, made new ropes, and carefully organized every step of the plan. Ray knew nothing about it. Emma intentionally kept the plan hidden from him because Isabella was watching Ray almost every moment of the day. The story now returns to the present. Just before Ray lit the match, Emma suddenly grabbed him and pulled him away from the flames. Then she took out a knife. Without wasting a second, she carefully cut behind Ray's ear and removed the tiny tracking device hidden beneath his skin. A few drops of blood fell onto the floor along with a small piece of skin. Emma immediately threw Ray's tracker into the fire together with some of his old clothes. That was why Isabella's tracker still showed Ray inside the burning room. She believed he was trapped in the flames, when in reality, he had already escaped. Emma quickly removed her own tracker as well. Then she grabbed Ray's hand. "Let's go." The two of them sprinted toward the forest. As they ran, Ray looked at Emma in confusion. "What about the others? Are we leaving everyone behind?" Emma smiled. "No. Dawn and Gilda have already removed the trackers from all the older kids. They're already heading toward the wall." Ray couldn't believe what he was hearing. Emma continued, "We're leaving the children who are younger than 4. They're too small to survive the crossing. But I already told Phil everything. I promised him. We'll come back within 2 years. And we'll rescue every single child we leave behind." Meanwhile, Isabella grabbed a lantern and raced into the forest alone. She was determined to catch the children before they escaped forever. Far ahead, the children continued running through the darkness. For the first time in their lives, none of them could be tracked anymore. They were finally free. As Isabella rushed through the forest, every second became more critical. Meanwhile, Emma, Ray, Dawn, Gilda, and the older children had already reached the massive wall surrounding Gracefield House. One by one, they climbed to the top using the ropes they had prepared. But the moment they looked down on the other side, everyone froze. Norman had been right. Beyond the wall wasn't another field. It was a gigantic canyon. The drop was so deep that no one could even see the bottom. Trying to jump across it would be certain death. For a brief moment, the children began to lose hope. Then Don stepped forward. Using all his strength, he swung one of the ropes toward a large tree growing on the opposite side of the canyon. The first throw missed. He tried again. This time, the rope wrapped tightly around a thick branch. Don pulled on it several times to make sure it would hold. "It'll work." Without wasting another second, the children clipped themselves onto the rope one by one. They carefully slid across the canyon. One after another, every child safely reached the other side. Finally, only Emma remained. She grabbed the rope, but before she could move, a familiar voice echoed behind her. "Emma." She turned around. Standing at the edge of the wall was Isabella. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Isabella quietly said, "Please stop. You have no idea how dangerous the outside world really is. You'll never survive out there." Emma looked directly into Isabella's eyes. For the first time, she wasn't afraid. She smiled softly. "Goodbye, Mom. We'll choose our own future." With those words, Emma grabbed the rope and leaped into the air. She flew across the massive canyon and landed safely beside her friends. The moment she reached solid ground, Dawn immediately cut the rope with a knife. The connection between Gracefield House and the children was gone forever. Isabella stood silently on the opposite side of the canyon. She could still activate the alarm. She could still call the demons. She could still stop them. But she didn't. Instead, she watched the children disappear into the distance. As tears filled her eyes, she remembered her own childhood. Once, she had dreamed of escaping too. But unlike Emma, she had never found the courage. A faint smile appeared on Isabella's face. Go, live your lives, and never look back. Without saying another word, she turned around and slowly walked back toward Gracefield House. As the first rays of sunlight broke through the trees, Emma, Ray, Dawn, Gilda, and the rest of the children finally made it out of the forest. For the first time in their lives, there were no walls, no fences, no guards, no one watching their every move. They had finally escaped Gracefield House. Everyone stood there in silence, taking in the breathtaking view of the outside world. The nightmare they had lived through was finally over, but their real journey was only just beginning. Emma slowly reached into her pocket and pulled out the mysterious pin that Norman had secretly left behind before his shipment. She stared at it for a moment. Then, she pressed the small button on its side. Suddenly, a glowing holographic screen appeared in the air. The children watched in amazement as a detailed digital map of the outside world slowly unfolded before their eyes. Hidden routes, safe locations, and mysterious symbols appeared across the map. Then another message appeared on the screen. It was from William Minerva. The message read, "Welcome to the world beyond Gracefield House. The road ahead won't be easy, but never lose hope." Emma looked at the message with tears in her eyes. Even though Norman wasn't standing beside them anymore, his final plan had saved every one of them. Ray quietly smiled. If it weren't for Norman, none of us would be here. The children all stood together, remembering the friend who had sacrificed everything for their future. Emma looked at everyone around her. Then she reached out her hand. One by one, every child joined hands. With a determined smile, Emma said, "This is our new beginning. One day, we'll come back for Phil and everyone we had to leave behind. And we'll finally put an end to these human farms." The children nodded together. Then, they turned toward the unknown world ahead and began walking into their new future.